Mobile phone use whilst driving, proposed law changes. A distracted driver is a danger to themselves, their passengers, and other road users. Mobile phone use whilst driving is a common way drivers become distracted. This applies to all drivers, but HGV and PSV drivers are liable to not only the criminal regime, but the additional sanction of having their vocational licence suspended for up to 3 weeks for a first offence, and in cases of repeat offending, up to and over 26 weeks. That is a long time not being able to drive for a living. Offences related to mobile phones are given the offence code and description of CU80, breach of requirements as to control of the vehicle, such as using a mobile phone. Prior to 1st March 2017, any CU80 offence attracted a sanction of 3 penalty points. From 1st March 2017, the sanction for offences related to mobile phones were increased to a mandatory 6 penalty points. The purpose of this presentation is to bring to your attention the proposed law changes in relation to using mobile phones whilst driving. We will also cover the key elements of the offence of using a mobile phone whilst driving, the consequences of committing such an offence, and how the offence will change if the proposals come into force. Currently, it's a criminal offence to use a handheld mobile phone or call or text whilst driving or make an interactive communication. Using a mobile phone hands-free is not illegal, but still potentially distracting. However, the rules still apply to you if you're stopped at traffic lights, queuing in traffic, because these are still deemed to be driving. The rules even apply to you even if you're not the driver. This is when you're supervising a learner driver. You can use a handheld phone whilst driving in extremely limited circumstances. That is, if either of these situations apply. You're safely parked, in other words, you're clearly not driving or controlling the vehicle. You need to call 999 or 112 in an emergency, and it's unsafe or impractical to stop. The term interactive communication means that the driver is communicating with another person through voice calls, texting, or email, or communicating with the internet. Therefore, drivers using their mobile phones for interactive communications are breaking the law. However, using their phones in ways that are not interactive communications, such as taking photographs, have escaped punishment, despite the fact these actions can also be distracting. Standalone functions such as searching through music stored on a mobile phone do not require the internet or involve communicating with another person, so are not covered by the mobile phone offence. These functions can still result in enforcement action by the police under the not in proper control of the vehicle offence. The need for the police to establish the driver was performing an interactive communication function means it can be difficult to show a mobile phone offence has been committed. In the government's eyes, the distinction between an interactive communication and a standalone function is an artificial one, which is why some changes have been proposed. In the Traffic Commissioner's eyes, the practice of vocational licence holders using a handheld mobile phone and other electronic devices, and especially whilst driving an HGV or PSV, is completely unacceptable and presents an undue risk to road safety. This is self-evident and obvious. The consequences of a distracted HGV or PSV driver can be catastrophic. In cases where drivers are speaking with their employers or their customers whilst using a handheld mobile phone, the Traffic Commissioner may consider the effect this might have upon the operator's good repute, so it's not something an operator licence holder can or should ignore. The government has announced steps to close the legislative loophole for standalone functions. The new steps will mean drivers using a handheld mobile phone in any circumstances whilst driving will be breaking the law. There will be an exception which will apply solely to drivers who are using a handheld mobile phone or similar interactive communication device to make a contactless payment for goods or services that will be supplied or provided immediately, and the vehicle must at all times remain stationary. This will be akin to using a credit card at a road or bridge toll. Calling 999 or 112 in a genuine emergency will also be permitted where it's unsafe or impractical to stop. The mobile phone offence will be broadened to include all devices capable of interactive communication, such as handheld tablets, electronic notepads, gaming equipment. the police will no longer need to establish if an interactive communication function was being performed. The government has rejected calls to ban hands-free functions such as using a sat-nav fixed in a cradle. But remember, any hands-free devices must not block your view of the road, and you must always stay in full control of your vehicle. A consultation has been launched to consider the proposed changes, and a summary of the responses will be published fairly soon. This slide shows some examples of activities that will be caught by the offence if and when the proposed changes are implemented. The penalties for using a handheld mobile phone whilst driving are currently 6 penalty points and a £200 fine. You can also be summoned to court, where you can potentially be banned from driving or receive a maximum fine of £1,000, £2,500 if you're driving an HGV bus or coach. The proposed changes are going to mean that the police can take immediate action if they see a driver holding and using either their mobile phone or any other device capable of interactive communication. Of course, the driver has to be driving at the time, and as previously stated, that can include stopped at the lights, queuing in traffic. So just because your car is stationary doesn't mean you're not driving. As stated earlier, the police no longer have to establish an interactive communication function is being performed for an offence to be committed. We hope this short presentation has been helpful. Please like this presentation or leave your comments. Please subscribe to this channel and encourage your drivers and managers to do likewise. When you subscribe, you're automatically alerted when we add new presentations to our channel. It may well be that if you are ever called to a public inquiry, you or your drivers might want to make reference to this subscription as evidence of the proactive steps that have been taken to ensure compliance with not only your operator licence undertakings, but road safety in general.